podcast. Alright, we're here.
Welcome back. Double Dissonance Podcast number what? 5 or 6?
Losing count.
I think it's 6.
Time has flown.
Well, whatever number it is, we are not walking. We're not playing pool. Not eating breakfast or not jumping in the pool.
Well, last time we were... That's wonky. Last time we weren't doing anything interesting. We were just sitting on a couch. So I guess the podcast is becoming a bit...
Becoming serious.
Yeah, which... I don't know, do the people want serious?
Look at this location.
It's not a bad location. So this is, if you're wondering...
Tell our viewers where we are.
Yeah, well, we're in Adamshurst, Albury, the residence of Father Peter McLeod, who's the rector of the church here. Mm-hmm. But pretty much this is your standard organist accommodation.
Did you turn that microphone on?
I don't know.
Just double check. Get ready. Should be like a blinking light.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on.
Sorry, yeah.
Continue on your
This is your standard organist accommodation, really.
Yeah.
So if you're an organist, you stay in places like this pretty much everywhere.
You might as well be an organist so you can stay at this place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So this can be your life goal, just to stay here. It's pretty much a palace.
Yeah. So you're in Albury this time. I'm not in Sydney.
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Why am I here? Jeez. Oh yeah, I played a recital today, but
oh yeah.
No, I played another Tunes on Tuesday recital.
Yeah, it's good turnout. You're a bit worried about people not lining up at the door.
Yeah, well, I wanted queues out the door
Yeah.
onto the street. You know, I wanted full police blockade on the street. I wanted notice boards saying, what's that street out the front?
Kiowa Street.
Yeah, I wanted notice boards saying Kiowa Street.
But you were up on the TV at the front, you see?
Yeah, well, I'm used to being on TV. It's nothing new.
And tell our viewers what was your program?
My program, I think we touched on it last time, but the program was the Buxtehude Magnificat Premi Tony.
A banger.
Certified banger. And then the Bach Trio Sonata number 3 in D minor.
Brave Man.
Yep, another banger though. And then Dupre's Prelude and Fugue in G minor.
Another banger. 3 bangers.
3 bangers, 3 really difficult bangers, and but we got through alive. Mm-hmm. Got through unscathed.
I did have a pre-plan, so we're quite organised.
Oh, this is unusual behaviour.
Yeah, we're on track.
What's happened, James?
Happened?
Yeah, I don't know if people prefer this or the chaotic, casual conversations.
Walking through Darling Harbour.
Yeah, well, I remember our first one was at a restaurant down in Albury, and we were just like, we're just talking absolute garbage the whole time. It wouldn't have been interesting at all. I apologise, viewers, but.
And Graham complained about the audio quality, so we had to step up.
Oh yeah, sorry, Graham. Yeah. Yeah, well, Graham's been demanding a lot lately.
Yeah, he wrote a really big reply, I remember.
Yeah, well, I'm expecting an equally large reply to this episode.
He said that it's like 6 months since it was recorded and was uploaded.
Yeah.
He complained about how long it took.
Well, Graham, the production process is very long and arduous here, and I do nothing. But James...
You're the star of the show, you're just going to show up. You just show up and
Well, I don't have... You're the one who's got the equipment.
I've got all the gear and no idea.
Yeah, and I'm the one getting paid thousands of dollars for the interview.
Who's our sponsor?
Coriol Wines.
Yeah.
They're the sponsors of the St James King Street Choir. Shout out to Coriol Wines.
Shout out to them.
You're looking, but yeah. Wine. We need a wine sponsor, don't we?
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a wine sponsor. Mm. So you got to Albury yesterday. What day was yesterday? Monday.
22nd.
Yeah, but you left. You drove from Sydney. And you spent overnight. You broke up your trip. You stayed in Narrandera.
Yeah, stayed in Narrandera.
Narandra's a very interesting place. Like, I wouldn't have thought that was somewhere people would stop over at.
Well, we only stopped there because we found this this old church which has been converted to Airbnb.
But there's no organ in there.
No organ. I made the music myself. I sung Gregorian chants.
Vidiakvam?
No, never
Or the
again.
Asperger's.
Yeah, Asperger's.
I've heard
mate.
people say that you said you did the video outcome wrong, but I said it wasn't serious.
Well, I wasn't.
It
If that
wasn't
sounded
serious.
serious to some people, then I'm kind of worried.
Yeah,
If people think that's like
I've heard
how
off the
I
grapevine
sing.
that you weren't doing it properly.
Well, that's because I wasn't. Breaking news.
And what did you do yesterday? You just had a quick practice. You're very efficient with your registration and setting up.
Yeah,
Setting it up on the organ.
there weren't too many. Like the book tutor, I have a different registration for each little movement.
Yeah.
But apart from that, the bark. Well, obviously, we'll just
Forget.
one
Yeah.
registration per.
Why don't you
movement.
orchestrate it, like romanticize it with so many different
Oh, a
things?
bit of swell box
Yeah.
action.
There's
in
too
the
much
trio
going
song.
on. There's way too much going on.
Yeah, well, have you heard those Cameron Carpenter recordings where he's got, he's using the swell
Yeah.
boxes and, he's got like a little distant reed playing like one bar or something. It's a bit,
Bit over the
sounds
top.
like a bit of a circus performance to
Yeah.
me, but
And yeah, I'm just on that. Like selecting recital or repertoire. Do you? Well, obviously you choose repertoire that will suit the organ.
yeah. Well, I chose the Books to Hooter because I think it's an angry piece.
Yeah, you're a very angry
And I
person.
think it's an angry organ. I like playing angry music.
Rager.
Rager and Dupre and all these people this music that just gets your blood boiling.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I like playing angry.
When you selected the program to play here, let me give you an example. If I'm going to like a church where I haven't played before, I probably select repertoire that isn't so overly demanding because I don't want to have to fight with the instrument and learn. But obviously you've been here several times now. You're probably really comfortable with how it's set up. You know, you got a sequencer. Is that why you're comfortable picking, big repertoire?
Yeah. Well, I know that the organ's quite diverse, and actually the main reason in this instance I picked that repertoire is because I'm playing most of it.
Yeah, your final
for
recital.
my final recital. So I'm not playing the Bach, but I worked on the Bach all semester and I hadn't really played it
You
publicly.
played it really well.
Thank you.
You're very good.
Thank
I'll
you.
be able to hear it some stuff.
Well, the people will be the judges of that. I'm sure there'll be plenty of comments. But
People, when I was listening, well, I couldn't really appreciate it as much because I was freaking out turning the pages. But like, people are like, oh, that's a nice piece. But like, there's so much work that goes into that. So many curly things going on.
I have a system where I practice. Everyone's different with learning a trio sonata especially, but I have a system where I practice each line of music 5 times over in a row perfectly.
Yeah.
So if I can play it in a row like at speed perfectly, and then I kind of tick that system off and move to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be in a row. So even if I do it 4 times in a row and then get it wrong the 5th time, just start again.
Remember when I said that when you played the Dupre, I said I was going to change registration via the computer thing at the top.
Yeah.
But I would be in front of the camera for
Oh, right.
audience, so I had to do it from the other side.
Well, it worked.
It worked.
Yeah, well, it's so annoying, and it's not ideal to have you doing pistons as well. It's just the way where that piston...
Maybe I could have put my foot down at the left side, where I could...
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
But it's just, there's such weird piston buttons as well, because the foot pistons, they're so pointy, they kind of poke your foot. They're not like flat. They're not like flat. The best ones are those Harrison ones, which are just flat buttons.
What about the ones barrel? You like those?
Well, they're Harrison buttons.
Very nice console.
Yeah.
Very nice console.
So that's an example of really, really good pistons and thumb pistons and foot pistons as well.
Yeah. What I was going to say next was, we need to get you onto the iPad. We need to get you. How do we convert you to use iPad and ForScore? Everyone's using it now.
I am converted.
You converted?
I am converted, but I don't have $1,000.
Oh, well, let's just ask one of the
$100.
sponsors to sponsor you an iPad.
If a sponsor would like to sponsor me an iPad, I would be thoroughly appreciative, and I will send you music videos only.
You have
or
to have
advice or whatever.
The iPad background has to be the picture of the donor.
Yeah, I'll make your face, Graham, the
background.
The background.
Yeah.
But I am converted, and I'm convinced it would. There aren't many things you can do. You can buy to make yourself a better player.
Yeah.
But I think that's one thing, because when you think about it, you can't play a trio sonata the whole way through.
Yeah. On your own.
On your own.
Yeah. One thing I find is it's much nicer to write on paper if you're like putting fingering or whatever notes. You have the Apple Pencil, whatever it is, but it doesn't feel right. Right. It doesn't feel the same. You don't feel as connected to it. That's one thing. But, there's so many more advantages. Not for a start, you don't have to bring one iPad. You have to bring 10 books.
Yeah, exactly.
You lose your iPad, if that comes to that state or you drop it, you've always got a copy of it electronically somewhere else if you're backing it up.
Yeah.
And turning the pages, obviously.
Yeah, I agree. I think, the page turning is a big one. I mean, there's a few nice things about having a nice score, of course, and all that.
Yeah.
Also, one of the disadvantages I've been told by various iPad users is you spend a lot of time scanning music.
You have to watch my video on how I scan music. I've got a special
I saw
app.
you released.
Yeah, the app, and it even corrects the warping of the pages at the spine. Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah.
And then you get scores really weird.
Oh, that's quite good.
And you've got a relatively new iPhone, so you have the good camera on there.
No, my iPhone's so old.
Even old.
It's an 8.
Well, that's old. I'm just wondering, how did the iPad take off so quickly for music? I guess it starts off with a chain reaction, someone using it, and someone else sees people, I'm going to do that too.
One of the first ensembles I saw using it was the Australian Chamber Orchestra.
Yeah.
And they all tap the pages with their foot.
We can't
because they stand up. Obviously, no, but, there's
string
technology
players,
where you can wink and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you do that?
I did the wink, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you screw up your face, if you get into a tough section or something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's my worry, because if it was winking or,
face,
whatever.
You've got...
I make all sorts of faces when I play.
You play with your mouth open.
Yeah.
You need to, you got to, as with everything, you got to practice that. Practice those page turns in. You practice page turns in if you're doing it by yourself as well. Before I went to iPad, I got those really big, A3. All the English people use them. And you cut up your score and you paste them in.
Oh,
it's a very English thing to do, right? And they reduce
I've seen scores of the Vidor Toccata with tiny pages.
Yeah, mine's like that.
Yeah, that was your one.
That was mine.
Yeah. But I've also I saw another from a certain English organist.
Yeah.
A similar thing with
Daniel Molt does that.
Yeah.
So he got me onto that. Well, he inspired me to do that. And Father Daniel Drives, he does it as well. He sent me as well. Yeah, you're tired.
Sorry, I'm not tired of you. It's been a big few days.
It's been a big day,
yeah. I get a bit of a post recital kind of
you can relax now
as well. Yeah, I know, it's good. I just get a bit of adrenaline come down, But it's fine. I'm not dying.
Yeah, you're not bored of me or anything.
No, I'm not bored. I'm just tired.
Yeah. So, and I use 2 iPads because I found that with one iPad, you're turning pages twice as much because you just got one page, right?
Yeah.
So you have to turn, but having 2 is good. Obviously, you're going to pay twice as much for 2 iPads.
Well, that's the thing. My only roadblock is money for it.
Do you have an iPad? No, you don't have an iPad. You don't have an iPad at all? No, okay.
No, it would be handy for other things too, not just music, but work and just anything.
We'll get Apple to sponsor you an iPad.
Yeah, well, Apple can sponsor me. If you're listening, Steve.
Steve Jobs is dead.
Is he?
Yeah. Who's the current one? I can't remember his name.
I don't know. You're the IT man.
Actually, I did want to make another video on iPad and ForScore, because you can actually track how long you've been practicing for, because you can see what your screen time is on that iPad.
Of course, yeah.
And I only use mine for ForScore. I don't use it for anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've recently started keeping a practice diary.
Mm?
Not because anyone's told me to, just because I found it really satisfying looking at how much I've done.
You practice a lot.
Yeah, well, I have to.
I know.
I've got so much on. I've got to play
How do you do
an
everything
evensong
in a day?
tomorrow.
You just learn to wing it?
Well, no,
You'll learn
can't.
accompaniments all the time too.
There's only one way. It's just practicing all the time.
Yeah.
That's why I practice all the time, because I have deadlines. I have to play. So I have to play an evensong tomorrow. Then on Thursday I have to play for a rehearsal. And then, I have 2 services on Friday.
Oh wow.
Then
St. Mary's?
Sunday at St. Mary's, yeah. And then Sunday back at St. James with
And that's just
Pentecost.
service.
So I have 2 services on Sunday as well. Yeah.
And that's just normal. That's
I've
normal
got
service playing
mass
stuff.
in the morning and an evensong in the evening.
And then you've got your own uni stuff to do.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a lot of stuff.
yeah, it's a lot on.
That's a lot on. This is a very general question. What makes a great recital program?
Well, firstly is variety,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
But can you have too much variety?
Yes and no, depending on what the organ's capabilities are. If it's a capable instrument that can do lots of styles, then you should portray that the organ can do lots of
You didn't use
styles.
the Vox. Did you use the Vox?
Oh, it was way too out of tune. It was horrible. Even the whole organ was a bit out of tune today.
It was about the top end of the reeds,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But no, I don't think you have. If an organ only does one style well and the others are kind of average, then
Yeah.
you should probably stick to that one
Yeah.
style. But I think also what makes a great recital program is just like making sure you play things you know you can play well, and not play things that are beyond your ability, which I think I've been guilty of before as well. I think everyone is.
Yeah.
But you can't play a great recital if you can't actually play a piece properly. Like, it sounds obvious, but a lot of people will go in with these huge pieces.
I've learned
they can't
that too.
play.
Like, I used to try and play stuff beyond my ability and just get through it, but you don't feel happy with yourself afterwards.
No, it's not a nice feeling when
It's
you
not.
faked something. Like, I've played things that are beyond my ability at recitals, and people say, "Oh wow, that was amazing," but it just, to me, it's more like, it feels like I've faked it well.
Yeah. You
Rather
don't
than,
feel like you actually did it. You didn't satisfy your own thinking of it.
Yeah, and that makes me kind of sad when I look back.
I liked how, your program was like, 3 like really incredible pieces. Then you can get like, I'm playing recital next couple of weeks. So I haven't got 3 pieces, probably about, I think there's 5. But you can have too many little pieces, right?
Yeah.
So what's the problem with too many little pieces?
Well, I think I really like the idea of having 3 major things, because it means the audience's attention, they don't have to constantly swap mindsets. They can really delve into a piece of music as you can as the performer. So I played the Buxtehude, which has it's just a whole story. It's Magnificat, so it's the whole story of the
I actually found that quite
Song
interesting.
Mary.
Like, where everything was segmented, it would kind of meant something.
Well, in the end, Magnificat's a liturgical piece, so it's a Bible reading. So so I think it's important to know that, and because each verse in the music corresponds to the verse of the Song of Mary, which is why some bits are lighter, and it talks about like God showing strength and stuff, so they're like the louder bits, and then it also talks about Abraham, remembering back to Abraham and the forefathers,
forefathers.
And all that stuff. But yeah, it's important to understand it, especially when you're playing.
Actually, I got sent a message today from a friend who was in Melbourne going to another recital at the same time. I think Tuesdays, lunchtime recitals always start about 1 o'clock.
Everyone just wants to call it tunes on Tuesday, but they can't because it's copyright
anyway, he
laws.
sent me the program, and it started off with an adagio. Now, I personally wouldn't start with an adagio because you want to kind of engage your listeners up front, right? You want to captivate, you want to have them yearning for more. Yeah,
I've always thought that. You need to get the audience involved at the start. So, for example, my recital started with a big D Dorian scale, like loud, playing them.
I love it.
And that's instantly
it grabs the
interesting.
But like on the other end, you could probably end something very quietly. Probably not starting quietly, but you could probably end it quietly, I think.
Yeah. So I kind of personally
want the big
disagree.
banger.
It doesn't have to be a huge banger.
Yeah.
But like I want to send the audience out, like, wow, that was a great recital.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could be playing something really good and soft, but I feel like in a recital, most people don't play recitals very often, and most people won't hear an organ recital very often. So you want to play like a really great piece at the end, one that'll knock their socks off. So I think you save the best till last, and I just don't think they're a great. Yeah, something that ends soft can be a great finisher necessarily, unless it's
kind of like
but
it's got a wide dynamic range in the piece, but it kind of suddenly ends quietly. I can't think of the piece now, but I'm thinking. I wouldn't use like the Thelma or Elegy as an example, but something like that ends quietly after like a really big PP to triple F kind of style. Yeah. Possibly.
But it's interesting. Say for that piece in particular, I probably wouldn't play that in a recital at all, because to me it's more of a liturgical. Something that works so well in a liturgical sense. You can definitely do postludes that finish soft.
Yeah.
Because depending on the church season or whatever.
What about Howl? Has Howl's got something kind of ends softly but it's kind of loud in the middle?
Yeah, there's plenty of things like some of the psalm preludes and the first
one
rhapsody.
Of the psalm preludes. I can't remember which one it was now. Because it was kind of the easiest ones of the psalm preludes.
Well, the first one's really beautiful, I think. But you need a good like English cathedral organ.
You need like smooth diapase.
And you need a nice like choir clarinet and all that stuff. Howl's an interesting one. I haven't gone off it, but it's like...
You've gone off it?
No. I think his choral works are timeless. But for his solo organ music, you really need like a proper big English, organ, a big English organ, a big acoustic, like an English cathedral. Because actually most of it is kind of mush. But his choral music is second to none. I think. I mean, like in terms of 20th century English choral repertoire, there's it's him and Vaughan Williams, and like then the rest.
The way to go.
Yeah.
Well, we've kind of answered what makes a poor recital program.
Yeah.
So like the kind of
boring
too many
music.
little pieces, like the audience can't settle into the program because they kind of just a couple of minutes and like they can't. Yeah, they're always kind of breathing too much or.
Well, it's just boring. You just don't play boring music. Yeah. You can play new music and music from composers people haven't heard of and that kind of thing, as long as it's exciting and it's just, if you're playing, I don't know, just soft, if you're playing like weird soft movements from Vidor 9 or something, like,
not 6. Because you play 6.
Well, 6 is beautiful, but there are just so many things like that where people will say, well, let's play the intermezzo from, Yeah,
Sixth.
Björn's 117th Symphony or something. Like, I'm sure it's nice, but no one really cares.
Yeah. You gotta have variety, but not too much variety.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's nice to play something niche every now and then.
Yeah.
As long as, if you're going to play something that you know people probably won't like,
Don't play
just
it.
make sure it's, well, either that or just make sure it's short and
Yeah.
and surround it with really good
I got a
things.
question. Why does a lot of recitals start with, piece of Baroque music or pre-Baroque music?
Well,
Like the books to hear, it's like it's either a books to hear or a Bach to start off with. Why has that become like the norm?
well, usually it starts, well, a lot of those pieces that some start like a prelude and fugue or
Yeah.
something, usually they're exciting to start.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's nice. It's a nice continuity because, Bach and Buxtehude are like the fathers of the
Yeah.
organ.
It's kind of like you're going through the historical periods.
Yeah, so there's
Starting
something
from
nice
the-
about that. And like for my recital today, for example, I had Buxtehude and then Bach,
Yeah.
and those two together are so important, and because
Yeah, they're very important composers, and you can really tell the difference between them as well.
Yeah, but you can tell the similarities and differences. I think.
The Bach was like the meatiest piece of music in the program. I mean, like it was the longest work in the program.
The longest, definitely, yeah. Well, it was the centre of the program
Yeah.
for me. I'm sure there are some people there who might have thought, it's the most boring part of the program, which is fine. But because the Buxtehude and the Dupré are so exciting and
Yeah.
loud.
No, I love the Bach. I love the last vivace movement.
Yeah,
So exciting. I love the triplet figuration.
well, that's amazing. It's hard to enjoy it while you're playing it because it's so stressful. But amazing.
You're like,
piece.
and
Well,
then
your
and you're a
arms
full
at
trip.
one point are like over here, and
And
you're
you're playing
playing
up there.
octaves in the pedals, and
you feel
like way up at the top. Yeah.
That's really all I had to talk about.
All right.
So that is quite
Oh,
very concise.
I'm afraid I know there are people probably yearning to ask, but the dating life thing is just
We're not talking about that anymore.
well, it's
It's boring now.
It's pointless. I'm good.
You good? There's no more apps. All the apps have been
She's in the
deleted.
next room.
Yeah,
so
she's actually cooking now, right?
yeah.
You better go help her.
I'm going to get in trouble if
You get in
I don't
trouble.
help.
So
Yeah.
Here's to the next time we have a podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for
Once.
coming down.
Once
He's coming down during the colder months now, because in the past he'd be coming during like the heat of summer.
Too hot in the summer, but
No,
now it's too cold.
Then you're like,
it's much nicer in winter though.
you went to practice and you're like, isn't there heaters in this church?
Yeah, you're always bragging about, oh yeah, we got heaters in Albury, and then the keys are like
Ice cold, yeah.
Yeah, so when I start playing it, I mean, this is going to be a problem because I'm planning to move to the UK next year, so that's, have to
It's
get
gonna be
used to
cold.
that.
There's gonna be no sunlight, hardly any sunlight.
Yeah, and the churches are freezing. They don't have heating there. So.
Maybe you can do a collab with that guy that did the Arrival of... What was that mashup he did?
Oh, no.
What was it called?
I don't Reductio.
Reductio music. Yeah. What was that mashup he did? What was it? It was not Queen of Sheba, it was something else.
It was something ridiculous, but you should just go
It was
practice,
good,
mate.
actually. It's on my Spotify.
Yeah,
playlist.
his organ playing is fine, so I don't... You can just go and play the organ and stop terrorising people with these ridiculous mashups.
Yeah, I'll include it into the in the podcast. Anyway, cheers. And
Cheers, mate.
We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.